Hello and welcome back to the channel with me, the Orienteering Kid, where today we're going out of this world for the 5th round in the A category of TORUS Season 3. Yes, we're here to compete in the 5th round of the A category in this season of the TORUS Cup, a month-long series organised by course setters from around the world that can be found here on the Tempo Simulator, a link to which can be found in the description of this video. Now today we do have quite a special event, as we said, we're not going to be on Earth, we're going to a completely new world, being nicely guided by both Yakek and Ramo. So Ramo, you'll remember, organised all of the TORUS Cup series, and also Yakek has organised quite a few events on here, so I'm looking forward to competing in this. We are in the same area for both the A and the B course, although I have been told that the B course is a easier version of the A course, so there will be some slight differences, and there will be another video doing the B course separately. But yeah, with both Yakek and Ramo planning and advising different stations in the event, I'm looking forward to the challenge we're going to have. So let's go and jump into this, going into the advanced section of the TORUS Season 3 bit, and then we're going into Event 5, which today has a 1 to 4,000 map with 2 meter contours made specially for this competition with no old maps existing. We have 8 stations with a 30-second penalty for every wrong answer and a 4 meter no exceptions zero tolerance. The terrain is typical terrain for a high fantasy adventure and expect surprises with both urban and wilderness areas hic-sunt dracones, which does mean here be dragons, so I'm expecting to see at least one dragon in one of these photos. Our instructions are that ladders are maps of stairs, and a black cross is a market stall or a giant stone throne, and a black circle is a harbour machine or a sundial. So that's going to be quite nice to remember, but that's probably telling me we're going to be in some sort of castle with potentially some water near it. That could get quite interesting. The viewpoint is sometimes in the air or in whatever happens to be air in this particular place, and the flags are sometimes oversized for visibility reasons. This all sounds a lot of fun. I am very excited, and yeah, we'll just get straight into it. As always, my answers will be appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen, so you can see exactly what I'm putting, correct or wrong, with the black and red letters respectively at the moment that I do. And yeah, with that, let's go into this 5th event in the A category of TORUS Season 3. And here is Station 1. Okay, it's the harbour definitely. There's the stairs as well and the rocks at the back. Stairs, that looks like it could be... oh no, it's not going to be Foxtrot. And I've got a feeling that's not there either. Market stalls, oh, it's opposite them. I'll go with Alpha. Top of the stairs is Echo, with the end there. I don't think that's Alpha, so I'm going to zero that. And that building, none of them are on the building. And so that was a very good Station 1. That's obviously where the harbour was. It is looking very Lord of the Rings-esque at the moment, so that may be what this is based on, but I'm not going to presume anything yet. And yeah, it was quite nice. I did put 3 zeros in that actually, with the first one, the 4th one and the 5th one all being zeros in my opinion, so there may be wrong there, but that does make me glad I didn't put 0 instead of Alpha for the first task. I think once I'd lined that up with the market stalls on the pier that had Bravo on it, it came together quite nicely. But yeah, I did like that first station, and we'll now go on to Station 2. Okay, there's a sand pit, the trees at the back, all 5 kites are in there, the ladders are stairs. That staircase kind of has to be Delta, with that staircase being Bravo. In that re-entrant, I'm going to believe that's Echo. That is the wrong tree, and is that the wrong bit of stairs? Yeah, it's got to be the wrong bit of stairs. And so that last task was the one that I paused on the most, but I do think it was just checking that Foxtrot wasn't actually in the right place. That was my first instinct, and that's what I went with in the end, and I think that was clear. And really, I think it was very clear there with the ladders being mapped to stairs, all the features. The only one I might be querying slightly is Echo in the re-entrant, but it did seem to be, so I'm happy to go with it for now. And the 2 zeros being at the end with the wrong tree and then the ladder, I think came across quite nicely, and we'll now just go straight on to Station 3. Okay, rock at the bottom, there's potentially the thing there. The rocks, that jutty out bit, that's the technical term, I think that's Bravo. With that bit being Foxtrot. That wall in there, I can believe that's Delta. And that indent of the crag, I can believe that's Alpha as well. And we're going foot of the crag there, so that's got to be Charlie. And I didn't end up putting any zeros in that station, but I think with the heavy amount of zeros in the first two, putting 5 out of 10 in the first two stations, having no zeros there is definitely plausible. But I thought all the kites definitely matched quite nicely, with Bravo on that small bit of rock coming out to start with. The rock faces weren't the clearest to use, but I think once I'd got a grasp of it, that was quite clear. And then going across to Foxtrot to lose our attention maybe on Delta and Alpha for the next two tasks, and across to Charlie to finish off. And that was quite a nice third station, varying it up again, and so I'm not really sure what to expect as we go into station 4. Okay, it's the canopies. So this is the trees. That's the massive tree, so that's got to be Bravo, with there being Echo all the way out there. It's got to be Alpha. That one's got to be Charlie, and that's a 0. And so it does actually look like we are moving around different places. I hadn't quite recognised it in the first few stations, but that was definitely a Star Wars station in the canopies of Endor, and I do love that. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I really like that station, and it's my quickest one so far, as we were quite literally in the tree canopies, and I could just see the massive tree which Charlie was on, or Delta, one of the two, and that really anchored me for the rest of the station. And I think the only one that was a 0 there was the last one, being on the wrong tree outside the photo. So yeah, I did really like that station, and I am enjoying this a lot as we cross the halfway point in this competition and go into station 5. Okay, there's the rocks with the trees in front as well. Two ends of the wall. Can I believe I can see the path, so that's got to be Alpha. That rock, I think none of them's there. And the one at the back, I still feel like none of them are there. That small tree kind of got to be Bravo, and that pillar, it's got to be Foxtrot. And that was an interesting 5th station with all the rock features going around the stone chair. I thought it was quite clear, and so the first task came up and we wanted the end of the wall. It was definitely Alpha or 0, but what gave it away to me was the path coming through below Alpha, and we wanted the wall to be behind the path. So that was a clear Alpha to start us off, and then the two zeros being the second one, as Delta was on the archway in front and Charlie was on the wrong part of the archway. I think that was clear, and then I'm pretty sure that Echo was on the wrong bit of rock for the third task. But I was happy with Bravo and Foxtrot to finish off the station, and I did enjoy that station again, and so I am still having no problems with this at the moment, but that could change as we go into station 6. Okay, oh, it's the load of rock with the water. Have I got 6 kites? Yes, I have now. Okay, that's that re-entrance, so that's the rock depression, and that's got to be Delta. With that bit of rock, I'm pretty sure is Alpha. That there, that re-entrant, I'm swaying towards 0. Yeah, it's got to be a 0. That bit of rock as well. Okay, that's that there, so it's not there, and Echo's there. And that was another fun station, underwater for this time, with quite a lot of rock and coral, and so it did throw me to start with, but I think once we spotted the rocky depression which Delta was on straight away, it became quite nice. So we had Delta to start with, between Alpha and Bravo for the second task, but I'm pretty sure Bravo was on the correct rock. And then the third one being a 0 or Charlie, I was debating, but once I saw we wanted to go up a level of rock to get into the depression, and Charlie was on the sandy area, I think it was pretty clear it was a 0. And also the fourth one actually was quite interesting, with Foxtrot being on a spur, but we wanted an isolated rock hill, and it was quite hard to see, so you would have gone straight with Foxtrot potentially, but if you spotted it, then it would have been a clear 0 to then end with Echo for the final task. And that again was another good station, and I don't really want this to end, to be honest, because I am enjoying it so much. But we will go now on to the penultimate station of the day, which is station 7. Okay, all the rock pillars, crikey, it's going to be a lot of counting, with a tree in the middle. Okay, that's that tree, so that's surely the wrong bit. That massive one, okay, that's the small one, so that's got to be Foxtrot. One at the back, is that the right one? I feel like that's the wrong one. This one right in front of us, pretty sure is Bravo. And Charlie does seem to be there. And that actually was another interesting station. I was starting to think about it a lot when the photo came up there, because it was just a load of islands in the middle of nowhere, but it was very clear that what we had to anchor on was the Charlie hill, which we came to for the final task. And I think that Alpha wasn't quite at the end of the spiral, told me that it was a 0 to start us off, but also using the bigger islands and the tiny islands helped to place Delta, and then also the 0 for the third task, I'm pretty sure, although that may have been Delta, we'll check that afterwards. And then coming forward to Bravo and then Charlie to finish off. I thought I was another good station. And so with that, we'll just go on to the final station of the day now, which is Station 8. Okay, there's the patches of lava. I'm presuming they'll be mapped as water potentially, with the rock pillars. Okay, that is the dragon. Okay. So that's got to be Bravo. I think so. That rock, there's nothing on that rock. Coming right in front of the dragon though, I think there's nothing there. And that one does seem to be Echo, with that one being behind the lava pool of Charlie to finish off. And with 191 seconds, that was a brilliant day, and I've loved that a lot. That's possibly one of the best courses I've ever done in TORUS. Although in saying that, I may have got it all wrong, but I don't really care. I've enjoyed it a lot, and already I'm going to say thank you to Raymo and Jakek for putting this together. It was absolutely amazing. But let's go and have a look at the stations then, because I really just want to talk through this a lot. And with Station 1, this was probably the worst station, and that's saying something, because I thought this was still very good. Things that we have here to start with are, there is obviously a staircase and there is some jetties coming out with the water. So I think that's pretty clear here with all these bits of jetty and the water and the stairs. We know we're definitely in the right place. And what we want is a black cross, remembering that they are the market stalls or the giant stone thrones. So there aren't any thrones, so this must be the market stalls. And when I looked out there, I saw to the right of the stairs there is Foxtrot on what could potentially be a market stall. However, it's got no canopies with it, looking at these market stalls over here as the black crosses. So I was toying with it being a 0 as it also looked too close to the stairs, and then what gave it away to me was the two bits of jetty coming out and Foxtrot's between the two, and we want it to actually be to the right hand side of the far one. So this is too far to the left, the place we want outside the photo, and this is a 0 to open up. So that was a nice first task, but the task I'm toying with is this second task being Alpha or 0. But I think I have gone with Alpha in the end, and I do think it's the right answer because Alpha's clearly on the rock, so it's going to be Alpha or 0, and I couldn't quite work out the rock features, but what I saw was the three bits of market stalls with the canopies here, and the place we want is just going to be opposite the furthest one closest to us. So looking at the market stalls, we go across the water and Alpha seems to be just about there. I'm still struggling to work out the shapes of the rock, but I'm willing to believe Alpha is there for the second task, so I'm going to stick with Alpha. And then we went across to the staircase, which we anchored on to start with, and Echo's clearly on the upper part of that staircase, so it was a nice Echo for the third task. And then this fourth task, we came forward and we wanted the northern piece of paved area and the northeastern inside corner, and immediately I was looking at Bravo and thinking that's on the water, it's very close to the jetty, but I don't think it's on the right piece because I've seen this bit coming along the side of the wall and there doesn't seem to be any mapped where Bravo is. So I ended up zeroing it because I didn't think Bravo was in the right place, and I think that's fair. But what I have noticed is we obviously have this bit of equipment with the black circle. If you follow it along and come down, the bit of harbour equipment is lifting up the area which Bravo is on top of. So it's not actually on a mapped feature because it's not a stationary feature, it's actually being lifted up by the crane. And this is quite an interesting trick, but I do like it, and this one is clearly a 0 because Bravo is in the air and not on the ground. So that was a nice 0 for the fourth task. And then finally we went out to the buildings, and this is where I was toying with a third 0 or not, but it's definitely between Charlie, Delta or 0. But going up the stairs, the building to the left of the stairs is where Delta is on this corner, and also coming from the other side we have the building right next to the wall, and then the next building along is going to be the Charlie building. So neither of them are actually the building we want. We want this building back there, and that was a nice 0 to finish off the station. And with 3 zeros in the first station, I'm not surprised it took me 32 seconds to get there, but I think that was quite a nice station. I did enjoy it a lot. And then moving on to station 2, they just seemed to get better as we moved into this pit with the sand all around it and all the ladders, and so immediately I was looking at it and thinking stairs. And there's there's only one pit on the map, so it must be here. But what I saw is there's two sets of 2 ladders here and then one set on the right hand side. So when the map comes, we obviously have 2 sets here on the left hand side with Alpha and Bravo on the left hand set, and then we come across to the right hand side to the first set and we want the northwestern end of the stairs. So you can see coming along to this side we want the bottom stairs, and the northwestern end is going to be where Delta is to start off the station. So that was a nice Delta to start us off. And then going along to the second task, we move around to the left hand of the set of 2, and looking here there are 2 stairs. We want the southwestern, so it's going to be the bottom one, and we want the southeastern end. And so I think that's pretty clear as Bravo for the second task, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few did put Alpha. And then for the third task we went up to the re-entrant, and I was debating this for a short while, but I think I'm set on Echo now, although this may actually be a 0, and I've now changed my answer and I'm pretty sure this is a 0 and my first mistake, because what I saw where Echo was quite a nice re-entrant shape, and so I was looking at putting it there. However, I've just noticed that the paved area or the wooden bit points towards it, so Echo's actually going to be there on the circle, and you can see quite a nice re-entrant, although it's hidden by the shadows, coming into the left hand side of Delta and Echo. So I was toying with this, but I did end up going with Echo in the end, and it is actually a 0, so well done if you did manage to get that one right. That is my first mistake of the day. Before we moved on to the fourth task, and what we want here is a tree, and we want a tree behind another tree that's right next to the path. But if we look up to Charlie is on the tree right next to the path, so it's not the tree we actually want. We want the tree behind it, which you can just see in the circle, and so that one is a 0. Before the final task we came back to the pit, and here we wanted the middle staircase and the northeastern end. And so looking at the only plausible kites, it can only be Foxtrot, but Foxtrot is a lot further forward to me to where the staircase we actually want is, and I think it's the ladder hiding behind the tree. As you can also see a small ladder poking up where Foxtrot is, and I think that's the ladder down here, so it's the wrong ladder, and this one is a third 0 to end off the station. And so we actually did end up with 2 stations of 3 zeros to start off the event, which is possibly pushing it a bit, but I don't think the stations were too difficult, and they were just trying to catch us off guard as we moved into the third station of the day. And here I have noticed that this is probably actually some sort of world from Sonic, I'm guessing, this sort of video game style, although I may be completely wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But what we obviously had here is some massive cliff with 5 kites on it, and then we go up to a flat area of paved area, and Delta does seem to be on a corner of a wall. So when the map came and we had some crags, I was confident it wasn't going to be Delta, but working out in which the other ones are, we obviously have this bit of building here with the wall that Delta's on, and so I'm pretty sure that's the building with the wall around it. So we're going to the left hand side of the building, so which rules out Charlie, Echo and Foxtrot. It's only going to be Alpha or Bravo, and we want the top of the upper crag, so it's not going to be Alpha either, as that's on the bottom of the upper crag. And so looking at Bravo, it's quite hard to see the shapes in the rock, but I'm pretty sure there is a small bit of rock which comes out there like the bend in the rock, and you can also see the indent in the lower crag going below it. So to me that seems pretty clear as Bravo for the first task, but I can see that some of you might have zeroed that because it's quite hard to read. And then for the second task we come across, and here we want the lower crag and we want on top of it, and we are coming to where this sort of portal shape is, and we're going to the right hand side of that. So looking at where the end is, Echo and Foxtrot are on the end, but Echo's on the left hand side, Foxtrot's on the right hand side. So to me this was a pretty clear Foxtrot, is it's on the little lip of rock which comes out from the right hand side. And then to definitely confirm we were thinking correctly, if you weren't thinking so already, we came to the wall and we said Delta's already on that corner of the wall. So that was a nice Delta for the third task, definitely. And then for the fourth task we went back to the left hand side of the crags, and we went further from where we put Bravo before, and we want the eastern inside corner of this upper crag. And so coming along from where we said Bravo was, it's going to stick out again, so that's going to be this bit here, and then it goes into its little indent. And you can also see another sharp corner to the left hand side of Alpha as the other sharp corner in the circle. We want the right hand side, and that's definitely Alpha for the fourth task. So that I think was definitely a nice Alpha. And then for the final task we came across, and we wanted the lower crag and the southeastern inside corner within the circle, to which what I saw was we're coming from the wall and there's a pillar right at the end of the wall, and we go down from that pillar. So this is definitely the pillar, and we're coming down from the pillar, and that does seem to be the right indent. It's the left hand of the 3 indents, as you can see the 3 there. And so that was a nice Charlie to finish off the station, and that was actually a no zero station, which I did quite like, especially trying to work out the rock features could have been quite difficult, and some of the zeros going off might have been a bit cruel. So well done if you did manage to get all of that right. And then moving on to station 4, this is only really my favourite station because of the terrain. It is brilliant. Just being able to orienteer in a Star Wars terrain just gets me very excited. But what we have here is just a load of trees and quite a lot of fencing going around the trees. So as soon as the map came up, I was aware that the map would really be this basic with all the bridges. But the key thing thing that pointed me out here was the delta tree, as it's absolutely massive. So that has got to be the tree in the centre of the map here, and so the tree we want is going to be to the left hand side of that tree, and it's going to be this tree here moving across, and Bravo does seem to be in the right corner of that paved area. So that was a nice Bravo to start off the station, and then we go to the other side of the massive tree, to the tree right in front of us. So to me, again, this was clearly Echo coming forward onto that tree, and it's definitely on the right side. It might have been quite cruel to put it on the other side, but that was quite a nice Echo. And then checking sides still, we went up to Alpha, and counting along trees, we come to the big tree, we go left, we go right, and we go left again. So left, right, left brought me to Alpha, and it does seem to be on the southern side again, so that was a nice Alpha for the third task. And then we moved across to the tree to the right hand side of Alpha, which is the tree that Charlie's on, and again we want the southern inside corner of the paved area, so that was another nice Charlie. And then for the final task, you guessed it, we came to a tree, and we want the southwestern inside corner of this paved area, to which it was a debate between Foxtrot or Zero, but I think coming forward from this tree, you have the tree which we said Echo was on, and then we're following this bridge to the tree outside the photo. So it's not going to be the tree that Foxtrot's on. I think Foxtrot's actually there, and that is a Zero to finish off the station. But that, to me, as much as it was very simple, it was my favourite station of the day solely because of the terrain. That's absolutely made my day, and so thank you for throwing that in. And then moving on to station 5, it changed up a bit as we had this starry night sky at Stonehenge, which is a famous landmark in the UK if you don't know, just not with this scene obviously. And really for me, we had some trees in front of us, there was potentially a path here, you can see the throne in the middle, and there's quite a lot of stones around. So really what we've got here is all these pillars of stone being the pillars at the back, you can see the path coming through and a couple of trees at the bottom, and then what we want here is the northwestern end of a wall. And so looking to the left hand side of everything, you can see there is potentially a spiked wall here with Alpha on it, but how are we going to tell if it's on the right end, as we can only see one end and there are two? Well, looking below Alpha, there does seem to be clearly a path there, and so I'm pretty sure that's the path coming through, as it does look similar to the path coming round here, and so this one must be Alpha as it's behind the path. So to me that was a nice Alpha to start the station. And then for the second task, we came to this rock pillar, and we wanted the southeastern outside corner of it. And so thinking about it, what have we got to work from? Well, we come from this tree and we go up to this archway here, and that's got to be the first archway. So Delta is on the right side of the pillars, but it's definitely on the wrong set of pillars. The pillars that we actually want are the set behind, which Charlie is on a pillar, but I do believe it's on the left hand pillar and we want the right hand one next to the stairs. So I'm pretty sure this one is a Zero, although I am prepared to be told it is Charlie, and I think that was quite a clever Zero for the second task, so well done if you did manage to get that one right. And then for the third task, we went all the way back behind the stone chair and we want on top of another rock pillar, but for me we're going to the left hand side of the chair and we want the right hand side of the chair. So Echo isn't going to be in the right place, and this one is a nice Zero for the third task. Before we came forward and we wanted this small distinctive tree or thicket and the southern side of it, and really coming from this archway we come down and the first tree that we reach is going to be where Bravo is. So I think that was quite a nice Bravo for the fourth task, before finally going out to the middle of the rock pillars, and it's the second one from this path, and we want the western side of it, and so this is the first one. Foxtrot does seem to be on the second one, and you can also see the archway behind it, so I'm pretty sure Foxtrot's on the right one, it's definitely on the western side, and so that was a nice Foxtrot to finish off the station. And I do again think that was a good station. I think the use of the rock pillars was great there, a couple of interesting Zeros out the back, and a couple of close calls definitely with Alpha and Foxtrot, but again well done if you did manage to get that station fully correct. And then for the sixth task we went underwater seemingly, as what we have here is a lot of coral and a lot of rockery. So I was starting to panic slightly, but there is quite a lot of bare rock, so when the map came and there was a lot of bare rock, it was working out what we could anchor on, and quite nicely here, the area of the centre of the circle is on this nice massive depression, and the only depression in the photo is this depression there, with Delta on the northeastern edge of it. So to me that was quite a clear Delta to start off the station, but it did require you spotting the depression, so well done if you did. And then for the second task we went forward and we want this hill, and it's the bare rock hill, but looking at the shapes of it, we obviously have this long bit of bare rock, and this is the bit sticking out of the map here, and then if we come to the left hand side of it, there's a bit of bare rock here, but I'm pretty sure that's the one with the knoll on top, and so Bravo's on the wrong one, we want the one below it, and there is a rocky hill where Alpha does seem to be. So that was quite a nice Alpha for me for the second task. The task that made me think though here was the third one, as here we want the middle re-entrant, and so noticing the bare rock coming through here, it's between Charlie or Zero, but for me there is some bare rock on the lower shelf and we want a re-entrant going into the upper shelf, and so this is the bare rock here with the re-entrant going in kind of where that peachy coral bit is, just here, whereas Charlie just seemed to be on the sand and in probably possibly a re-entrant at the edge of the circle. So for me, eventually that was a fairly clear 0. And then for the 4th task, we came across to this spur, and it's on this small bit of hill just forward and to the right of the depression. And so we look across and see Foxtrot's on a spur, but I think to me that's clearly this bit of rock here coming in and pointing towards the depression. The bit we actually want is a small bit of bare rock just here, and we want the northwestern part of the spur, which is going to be about where the centre of the magnifier is, miles away from all the other kites. So that was quite a nice 0 for me. And then finally we came forward, and there is a re-entrant right in front of us on this bare rock, and so it's really going to be this bit of bare rock here. You can see the more distinctive hill just to the left hand side of the re-entrant, and the re-entrant we want just to the right, and that does seem to be where Echo is to finish off the station. So that was another interesting station. There was a lot of variety here, and I was still really enjoying this at this point. The use of the rock features and going underwater was very cool, and well done if you did manage to get that station fully right. Before we moved on to the penultimate station of the day, and again it changed a lot, as here when the photo loads we've quite literally just got a load of floating islands. And what have we got to anchor on other than that massive island which Charlie does seem to be on with the tree on it? So that was a quite clear anchor, as the only massive island in the circle was this one here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the left hand side, and we want the bare rock right at the end of this spiral. So we look across the left hand side and see Alpha's the only candidate, but I can see some bare rock further behind. So Alpha's actually going to be on maybe this one here, although that's not definite, or probably this one actually. And so that one is clearly a 0 on the wrong bit of island. Quite a nice starting task, I do think, before coming forward. And we want the bigger patch of bare rock. It's quite clearly the middle patch of bare rock. And here, what have we got to work with other than it's a massive patch, and then there's a bigger patch behind it, and all there is between is a very small island. So there's the bigger island behind it, and then the small islands before coming forward to the Foxtrot island. And I think that is very clearly Foxtrot for the second task, matching up with all the different shapes of islands around it. So that was a nice second task before the third task came, and we wanted that island, to which I had a small debate here about whether it was going to be Delta or 0, but I have gone with 0 because, again, noticing this big island, the island that I'm pretty sure Delta's on is going to be the one on the edge of the circle here, and I actually want the flag to be on the one to the left of it, and so I think this one is a 0. This did take me about a third of the station though, longer than any other task, so well done if you did manage to get that one quicker. I do think it's clear as a 0 now. And then for the final 2 tasks we came forward, and here we wanted again another piece of bare rock. There's a theme with this station, and to me, looking at the circle, there's a massive bit of bare rock to the right hand side of it, so that's going to be this patch here, as it's the only massive bit I can see, and the bit to the left of it is going to be the one that we want, which does seem to have Bravo in the centre of it. So that was again a nice Bravo for the 4th task, before finally we went up to the main island, and we wanted the southern part of the stairs. And this is quite a nice description. There are clearly some stairs there, and Charlie does seem to be on the southern side of the stairs, considering North's going quite nicely upwards for us. So that was a nice Charlie to finish off the station, and again I really like that station. The continued variety here was great, and you're never really going to see a station like this again, so that was very good. Before finally we moved to the 8th station of the day, and this is where there was some dragons, as there is quite clearly a dragon skeleton, and it has been very nicely mapped for us in this sort of orangey colour, with the smaller skeleton actually being further down as well. And so once I spotted that, we also have these patches of lava which I expected to be mapped, and they were as the blue striped lines. I think that's all you can really map them as. You wouldn't map them as water, and there's obviously a lot of rock around. But when the map came and I saw the dragon and I saw the patch of lava next to this rock pillar, and then the rock pillar we want is behind that, that took me straight to Bravo. So I'm pretty sure that was a nice Bravo for the first task. It's definitely on the correct side of the rock, so I'm happy with that one. Before we then came to the right hand side, as we were distracted with the dragons and stuff on the left hand side, and here we want a rock pillar. And so working from the area, you can see the dragon's mouth there, and we have the patch of lava with the massive boulder behind it, and that's going to be where Delta is. And then we're going to the next rock pillar to the right hand side, which is that one there with no kites on it. So that one is very clearly a 0, Foxtrot being on the one next to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of you did put Foxtrot, especially after the Bravo distractions of the first task. And then for the third task we came forward on the map, and here we wanted a boulder and the northeastern side of it. But looking at it, the only contender is going to be Alpha, and Alpha is on the left hand side of the dragon's wings seemingly, and if you look at the area where the wings are going to be, Alpha must be on this boulder here instead, and the boulder we want must be down the bottom of the photo, out the photo, just about here. And so this one is clearly a 0 as no kites are going to be out the photo. So to me that was a nice 0 for the third task, before we went back to the right hand side, and here we wanted the rock pillar, and working from, we said Foxtrot and the 0 were for the second task here. The massive one to the left left hand side is going to be this one here, and then we go off to the right hand side and Echo just seemed to be on the correct pillar. So that was quite a nice echo for the penultimate task before we finally came to the final task, and here we wanted another rock pillar, unsurprisingly, and it's the massive one behind the lava, which is also behind the dragon's head. So we had the dragon's head, we had the lava, and then this massive rock pillar here to end with Charlie for this final task on this absolutely amazing day. This is by far one of the best courses I've ever competed in. Remo and Jacek have done an absolutely superb job mapping this and doing everything for it. The tasks are amazing. I made one mistake, I'm not even annoyed. I've just really enjoyed today, but with a time of 221 seconds, let's go and have a look at where I'm sitting on the leaderboard. And you will see that I am in 5th place, which I'm not really disappointed with at all. Again, I'm going to be banging on about this for the second half of the video as well, but I've really enjoyed it. I think it's probably going to be very close in the top actually, but that is where I am for now. We'll see how far I drop down with the final people coming in, but you'll join me afterwards for the overall results. And we are back to see that I have dropped slightly, like we expected, down to joint 13th place with Christian with a time of 196 seconds and one mistake. Part of the reason I have dropped down this far is because station 5 was voided. It's already been voided straight after the competition ended, and it's mainly because tasks 51 and 52 weren't very clear as to whether it was Alpha or Zero for the first one or Charlie or Zero for the second one. So the two of them combined has meant that Jacek and Remo have asked the EB to void the station and they've accepted it. So we are down to 7 stations, and that's why I've dropped slightly. It is very well done though to Eric for winning today's event with a time of 130 seconds and no mistakes. Quite a lot in the top 20 actually did it with no mistakes. 20 seconds quicker than Severin, who was then 6 seconds quicker than Ralph. But Eric definitely took the lead in station 1 and held the lead for the whole of the event. So really he won it through quite a lot, especially in station 4 where he was 7 seconds quicker than Severin, and yeah, he just basically kept his lead throughout the whole thing, so very well done to him. Now for me, the most interesting thing with the percentages here was station 2 here, where most of the tasks were very well answered, but there was a 55% and a 73%. The 55% being my only mistake of the day in the third task in this station, where 212 other people like me went with Echo, but 268 managed to realise it was a 0. And this is what we did spot before. Echo was definitely in a re-entrance shape, but it wasn't quite in the right place in relation to stuff like the paved area, and you could just about see the depression if you did look a bit closer. So that was a very clear 0, but I'm really not surprised quite a lot did put Echo like me. And also the final task with 129 going with Foxtrot and 355 going with 0. This was a lot clearer 0 than Foxtrot to me, but I can see if you weren't quite seeing things correctly. It was a debate between the two, and really no other kites were put, apart from one person who did put Alpha. But other than that, the rest of the percentages were very high today, demonstrated clearly here in station 8, where all the percentages were above 95%. This is the highest I've probably ever seen in a station, and really I thought this station was a hard one to end on. So I think you've done a really good job there getting those percentages 95% and above, so very well done for doing that. And we did manage to spot all our mistakes earlier, so we can just go back and have a look at the results for the series so far with 5 events gone, and we can see that I have dropped slightly after this event, going down to 6th place, mainly because Ralph had a 2-point gain on me and so has gone 0.05 points ahead of me, so it is very close there. But it is currently very well done to Severin for taking the lead away from Alessio. He is now 0.7 points ahead of Alessio, but had a much higher score than Alessio today, and so he could easily be overtaken again if Alessio gets some other good scores. However, he has planned Thursday's event, so won't be competing, and I wouldn't be surprised if a few other people overtook him then. We also have Christian in 3rd place, 2 points behind Alessio, with Lowry just a point behind that, and Ralph about 2 points behind Lowry. So it is again starting to spread out a bit around the top 5, but the positions are still changing, so we will have to keep following this with 3 events left to go. And then with the club events, you can see that Massey are still holding on to the lead, now with a lead of about 40 points, ahead of Linkopings, who are only 1.5 points ahead of MDoc. So this is very close now, especially for 2nd place, as much as Massey are taking the win, again almost certainly, I'm calling it now. 2nd place is still very much up for grabs, with Krakow another 8 points behind MDoc as well, and MTV Season another 10 points behind them. Anyone can really take the final 2 medal positions. And again, with 3 events to go, this could get very interesting, so we'll have to follow it as things unfold. And then finally for the countries, we can see that the Italians have managed to take the lead back from the Finns today, and are now 3 points ahead of the Finns. This does seem to be after their win today, and the Finns came 4th, but still had a higher score than in the 3rd event, so well done to the Italians for taking that back. Before we then have the Swedes 20 points behind the Finns, and the Brits 25 points behind behind them as well, just about leading in this very close fight between the Brits and the Germans like it always seems to be. So there's only 2 points in that at the moment, and that's possibly the most interesting fight. But it does look like the Swedes have probably secured third place. It's just an interesting fight between the Italians and the Finns for first, and then the Brits and the Germans for fourth. And really this could go any way in any of the categories, so it does look like the final 3 events are going to be very crucial, and you'll have to join me on Thursday for event number 6. But just before we go, I'm going to say one last massive thank you to Ramo and Jacek for putting on today's event. It was absolutely phenomenal. Even with the station void, I don't think that's taken away from any of the other stations. They were very well put together, so thank you again for doing all of that. And so with that, that's going to be the end of today's video, so thank you all again for watching. If you'd like to like the video, as always, if you enjoyed it, and be subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, making sure that you click the bell next to the subscribe button and select all. And also, as always, be sharing these videos. This event especially, as much as all the others were great, would be an amazing event to bring people in on. There's obviously an easier and a harder course, and I will be releasing a video for the easier course as soon as I can, but really just get people on the simulator, show them this event because I think they'll really enjoy it, and yeah, let's get the numbers of people competing up. And then finally, as always, make sure you're commenting down below any extra analysis you think I've missed from this video and any extra small bits that you think I could add to them. And I will join you again in a couple of days time for the 6th round of the A category in TORUS Season 3.